So you've got a brilliant idea, right? Something you think could really change the game. But how do you actually know if it's an idea people will pay for? Well, today we're going to dive into the single most important process for finding that out. It's a tough question, I know, but it's one you absolutely have to ask. Because here's the thing, most new ventures don't fail because the product is bad. They fail because they build something nobody actually needs. They build it on a well-intentioned but ultimately false assumption. You see, every great idea really just starts as a guess, doesn't it? A bet you're making about the world. But that bet is also a huge risk. So how do you turn that guess into a fact? We're going to find out by following one entrepreneur's journey to uncover the truth about her own big idea. All right, let's kick things off with our hero for today, Alice, and her big idea. Like pretty much every entrepreneur out there, her journey starts with a problem she's really passionate about solving. So, this is Alice. She wants to launch a business offering these amazing whitewater rafting retreats for corporate teams. Her logic is simple. Boring office life crushes productivity, so let's shake things up with an adventure. It sounds awesome, right? But here's the catch. It's all built on one single belief. And this is the absolute key. Alice is betting the farm on one thing, that companies are actively struggling with boredom and see it as this major problem that's hurting their bottom line. If she's wrong about that, well, her entire business idea just falls apart. Okay, so how on earth does Alice test this assumption without actually building the whole retreat first? Well, she embarks on a quest for truth, and her main tool is simple, direct, and incredibly powerful. Her tool? The customer interview. And listen, this is not a sales pitch, not at all. It's more like being a detective. It's a structured conversation designed for one thing, and one thing only, learning. It's all about understanding their needs, their behaviors, and most importantly, their real-world pain points. So you might be wondering, how many people do you actually need to talk to? The magic number, the sweet spot, is generally somewhere between 20 and 50 interviews. If you do any less, you might just be acting on random noise. Any more, and you're probably going to start hearing the same things over and over again. So Alice sets that as her target. And this isn't about just, having random chats over coffee. No, it's a real process. First, Alice will prepare her goals and her questions. Then, she'll reach out and schedule the calls. The crucial part is step 3, conduct the interviews by listening way more than talking. Then, she'll analyze everything she learns, and only then will she make changes to her idea. All right, so Alice has her plan. But here's where it gets tricky. A good interview is really an art form. The quality of the insights you get is only as good as the quality of the questions you ask. And check this out. This is so important. A bad question, a closed question like, are your employees disengaged, just gets you a simple yes or no. It's a dead end. But a good open-ended question like, how often are your employees disengaged? Well, that opens the door to a story, to details, to the real context of the problem. So Alice gets smart about this. She structures her interviews around 3 key missions. First, does this boredom problem even exist? Second, is it important? Because if the consequences aren't serious, no one's going to pay to fix it. And third, what are they doing about it now? If they already have a solution that works, her rafting trip might be a really tough sell. Okay, questions are prepped. It's time. Alice starts making the calls and scheduling the meetings. This is it, the moment of truth where her big hypothesis finally smacks right into reality. As she's talking to dozens of managers and HR leaders, she isn't just scribbling random notes on a pad. She's got a system. It's called an interview scorecard, and it's a brilliant way to move past just gut feelings and actually quantify the responses. It makes spotting the real patterns so much easier. And you can see a simplified version here. It's amazing, right? She's tracking what problems people bring up, rating how severe they think it is, and even gauging how excited they seem about a new solution. This is how you turn a bunch of conversations into real data-driven patterns. So after all those conversations, after tallying up all the scorecards, Alice gets her answer. And that foundational belief she had about corporate boredom, the one her whole idea was built on, yeah, it was completely off the mark. I mean, look at this. The data just screams at you. Sure, boredom was mentioned by about a quarter of the people she talked to, but a whopping 75%, they pointed to a different, much more urgent problem, stress and burnout. The real pain point wasn't a lack of excitement, it was an excess of pressure. Now, you might think this is where the story ends, right? That this is a failure. But in the world of entrepreneurship, this is a massive win. This is a discovery. This is gold. Think about it. Her experiment worked perfectly. It saved her from building a business nobody wanted. Armed with this new truth, she can now pivot. She can shift her whole focus from fighting boredom to fighting stress and burnout, a much bigger and more painful problem for her customers. And this is what every entrepreneur on the planet is searching for: product market fit. It's that magic moment when your solution perfectly aligns with a real, validated customer need. By actually listening, Alice is now on a much clearer path to achieving it. Look, this is why this whole process is non-negotiable. Customer interviews are the steering wheel for your business. They guide your product, they test your core beliefs, and they are what separate the successful ventures from the ones that are just a shot in the dark. So, the crucial takeaways from Alice's journey are pretty clear. Your first idea is just a guess. Use these interviews to find the truth. Ask open-ended questions to get real stories. Use a scorecard so you're not just going on a gut feeling. Be ready to pivot based on what you learn. And whatever you do, never ever skip this step. And that brings it all back to you. Whether you're building a company, launching a project, or just have an idea scribbled on a napkin, take a moment and ask yourself, what is the single biggest belief my entire idea rests on? And what are you going to do to start testing it today?